3 months ago, my colleague bought iPhone XS and made it his main smartphone. That baby became one of the coolest things in our office. Now we decided to share the experience brought by that flagship. So to say, before XS, my friend used OnePlus 6 and was pretty much happy about it. Was there a comeback to Apple's world, and how does it feel switching from $500 smartphone to $1,500 one? My name is Bogdan, and today our team will answer these and many other questions, shall we? Matching the good old traditions, I will start briefly about the body. Will you also admit design is old and boring? The camera switched in place a little bit, which turned out to be enough to make you throw away almost all protectors from 10th model. Now about not so obvious things. I personally do not consider steel to be a good material for smartphone's frame. This decision makes the device heavier, and there is nothing good about that. iPhone X used a frankly shitty steel that started getting scratches from the very first seconds of contact with hands. This year, either the alloy was changed or much more attention was brought to metal processing, but the result is worth it. The edges are not so willing to receive minor scratches. The smartphone was used without covers and screen protectors for a month and a half. As a result, we began to notice the combat wounds after the first 2 weeks, which XS proudly lived up without any wreck. Minor marks on sharp ends of edging perhaps are the easiest to see. Near the silent mode switch, the damage is way higher. The most durable glass, they said, also didn't withstand the merciless dust, and in many spots, small but not really scratches appeared during the mentioned period. As a result, smartphone's face has got a screen protector. iPhone XS is IP68 dust and waterproof. Has this made us much happier? Not really, because for example, the unnamed protection in OnePlus was also more than enough, and I would recommend you to consider this breakthrough in the same manner. OLED matrix in iPhone XS in principle doesn't feel to be that one. At first glance, this is a very solid IPS LCD, while in Samsung phones, screen type stands out a mile. Reading from such screens is not so comfortable. LCD, however, is a bit less tiring, but gladly there is no such mash-up as with Samsung Galaxy displays, on which my colleague and I physically can't look for more than 10 minutes. Haters gonna hate, but my eyes vote for iPhone screens. I won't spare a lot for hardware, as nowadays there's nothing special to talk about. Apple A12 Bionic chip paired with 4 gigs of RAM provides a divine level of performance, which is enough exactly for everything in our modern tech world, and will secure a sound life even during at least 3 years. Obviously there are no problems with games, and I bet there won't be. Another thing is software, but that's later. As for battery life, XS is probably the best iPhone among those we've ever had. Within 1 day it was possible to discharge it completely only by running benchmark tests or extremely long video shooting in 4K. By the way, our guy helps us to create videos on the channel sometimes. It is hard for me to imagine another person who will make 3-4 hours UHD video per day. In everyday usage it is a solid companion almost always for 2 days without a charge. Writing the script has consumed about 50% of battery life, but that's about 6 hours of screen time with constant switching between pages, social network and browser. Without exaggeration, we are absolutely satisfied with battery in XS, and actually before buying the expectations were high, however we didn't believe in any miracle. Almost as soon as XS models appeared on market shelves, people started to panic about even more wretched reception quality compared to iPhone X. Let's say Apple made no revelations, no increase in quality, but in terms of traditionally lame connection, everything is more than okay. In some way it is as bad as it used to be, but not worse. Smartphone has 2 cameras. I still sincerely do not understand what's the reason for manufacturers to set up a telephoto lens as an additional module. In our model it was used not more than twice, both because of the job. To be honest, if light conditions are not ideal, the content from the second module happens to come out highly disappointing. Moreover, I think it wouldn't be used at all unless our reviewers and journalists' hands. Needless to say, can't wait to see more enhancements to the optical zoom with f5.6 aperture. Speaking about the main camera, it is not perfect. There are smartphones that take better pictures, but I have no desire to complain about XS photo gun. At night, my advice is to shoot photos in a series. Some of them might turn out to be blurry, but no one is immune from this. During the day, in principle, 1 snap is enough to make sure that the photo will be great. Dynamic range of the camera is very good, but the gamma is somewhat damped by the software that tends to overstate the contrast. Because of this, the picture looks impressive but cartoonish. I'm glad that there is no clarity pumping as in many other smartphones. In any case, we do not see halos around the contrasting lines on the cropped pictures, so if there is some magic in this regard, it is very neat and well organized. The new HDR doesn't steal the show. The advantage is its possibility to correct the contrast jumps described above by muffling the details that the camera enhances by default. That's all it's got. On the other hand, this mode either doesn't change anything or even serves for bad. It corrects uplighting so damn well that as a result, the gradient sky becomes almost tone toneless and it looks like a screenshot from some kind of video game. Shadows are drawn roughly. If there is a large contrast zone in a frame, get ready for a kinda pastel picture with unnatural colors. In video capturing, in front of us is still the best of the best camera in the world. The focus and exposure fixation are sensible, adjustment for changing lighting is smooth, stabilization is excellent, and the absence of time limits does its job. If you are far from sun, clips from XS lose its perfect flavor, but still are much better than its competitors have and just noticeably better than predecessors. At the end of the day, I haven't met a better camera for videos in smartphones. Selfies are pleasant only under ideal light and composition conditions. Once they get a bit worse, the evil awakens. In cloudy weather, the eyebrows already look like stains, facial features seems to be paint brushed, and images are not particularly pleasant at all. It is not a secret that such downfall in quality is a product of the most aggressive noise reduction that comes out due to increased ISO, which helps cut in the shutter speed in order to avoid totally bad scenes. Playing with HDR against the light could be very risky. In any case, you should at least carefully check taking photos to avoid such accidental posts on Instagram. There's something missing about the portrait mode, right? For sure, the main and front cameras both do such stuff, and by the way, the portraits are mostly pleasant, but this video is all about the user experience, and user actually doesn't need that crap and wants to drag our attention to more day-to-day thing. A Face ID. The bezel-free body that came into the Apple world not only brought itself into fashion, but also sent a good riddance letter to Touch ID that a year ago nobody could fit under the screen. Well, prepare for trouble and make it double. After the loss of fingerprint reader, the notch madness turned out to be infectious, and the face recognition, frankly speaking, is not a worthy alternative, even by far. And what about my hopes for a new generation of iPhone with possibility to unlock the phone in a horizontal position? Fine, but I'd also wanted XS to have much wider angle of true depth coverage.
Nope.
Yeah, I know. As a result, if the smartphone's on a table, you need to take it in hands or bend over it to check for non-existent messages or basically to unlock. The latter still requires a swipe, but how great would it be to get immediately to the main screen?
Denied.
Okay, I got it. In general, there's no feeling of progress comparing with the pilot version. The only joy is that at night this feature works and all third-party apps are also friendly with Face ID, whereas in smartphones on Android, the fingerprint reader is still a bench warmer, because Steam might still need it. Also, a nice feature of Face ID, I can call a ringtone's volume reduction. As soon as somebody looks at the smartphone, the scanner will understand that it is not the only one here and that there is no need to continue the concert. Device doesn't stop ringing, but it goes away quietly, without irritating those around you. The sound in headphones is needless to discuss. The stock headset is close to what emerges from under the snow in spring. There is no adapter to mini jack in the kit, and theoretically nice by sound adapter from Fio is just terrible in terms of ergonomics. The music from wireless headphones has almost no difference comparing with competitors, so in general we've decided not to recommend this device for music enthusiasts. The speakers in XS scream out very loud. Unless you have music in your ears, even in a subway, it is possible to hear the confident incoming call from your jeans pocket. We have no questions to quality either. Watching videos on YouTube was a common leisure stuff with that phone. Speakers easily shout over the tea slurping and breakfast crunching without tearing your ears apart with a sharp and biting sound. Now a few words about software. iOS 11 was junky, and that's a fact. 12th version LS is not the golden medal either, however it is already on its way to the top. The current version has less glitches and works much smoother, but there are still more bugs than we had to face in 10th one. A couple of times the system was freezing and jumping into a reboot. Recently the home screen exit gesture has failed and smartphone just refused to turn off in this state. Front-facing speaker that's supposed to help a multimedia one sometimes refuses to perform all its tasks, working only with the regular calls but not playing alone in tandem with button one. Gladly, the good old restart solves this problem. Third-party software still works badly, and personally I'm starting to worry about Apple's programmers because Face ID services were falling off in both banking clients as well as in App Store. We've got other cool stories about iOS and friends, but overall it is okay to use this phone without a desire to throw it out of the window, but I can definitely say that it essentially wasn't born ideal. Then maybe Apple should pay more attention on process that generally happens before the birth. So, what are the final words after almost 3 months of communication with iPhone XS? It feels more successful than the last year's 10 model. Maybe the reason is that we are getting used to Face ID and the notch that is no longer pissing off so hard, or because frames are less soft and scratchy. Also, iOS 12 is more reliable than iOS 11. But is there really a breakthrough? No, it isn't. The smartphone was just slightly dressed up. All the rest is nothing more than an enhanced software, available by the way also on iPhone X. Personally, I like that smartphone, and both for me and its owner there's no room for denying this. There's also no reason to hide that apart from a good video camera and boldly 2 days of battery life, iPhone XS doesn't give us anything more comparing to OnePlus 6. I will not discourage you from buying XS because that smartphone is good indeed, but it's definitely not worth chasing it. In the end, there are lots of other devices that stand still near our guy and do not buy deep into your wallet. So think twice before buying the latest iPhone for yourself or somebody else. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Till next one, and cheers!